your eyes and ears focused on this because it's going to happen if I have anything to do with it. All right? Also, we're going to do a black fact here in just a moment. Of course, you all know we got to do black facts every day. In fact, my show is not complete without doing a black fact, and I really appreciate all the people who come up to me and talk to me and say, hey man, I really didn't know that about black people. I didn't know black people did this. I didn't know black people do that. Appreciate you doing those black facts. And I really appreciate y'all with those comments as well. Today's black fact is going to deal with, do I want to do the NRA? Actually, there was another one that I was going to do. I want to tell you this, though, before we do that. The next time you see a tall black boy, tell him he looks like an entrepreneur or an attorney or an influencer or an analyst or an accountant or an engineer or a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Stop telling every black boy you see that he looks like a ball player. Black boys can excel at things other than sports. And y'all know I'm a sports fanatic, but I ain't playing up in here. We got enough of them. We need more of the others, if y'all understand what I'm saying. 855-525-5683 is the number. Let's go ahead and jump into Black Facts because we got to get our guest on. We're really excited about them being in today, so we'll get to that here in just a moment. But we got to do Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, so every day we do a black fact because it is important to the black diaspora to understand that you were more than just slaves. You are not an American descendant of slaves. You are descendants of kings and queens who built the world. You have never been duplicated, and that in part is why you are so hated. And until we embrace our full history, we will continue to suffer in darkness. So that's why we do our black facts, and we must continue to talk about the issues of our people, where we came from, and where we need to go in order for us to become more powerful and the people that we really want to be. So today's black fact, well, I guess we'll go ahead and do that one. I thought I had another one, but we're going to do the NRA. And you know, at one point, the NRA was, oh no, here's the one I want to do. I'm sorry. Let's do this one. This black fact deals with, and it's from, by the way, you know, black folks don't want to believe stuff unless it's written by white folks. So this is from the Smithsonian Institute. Yeah, that's a white organization, okay? The misguided focus on 1619 as the beginning of slavery in the U.S. damages our understanding of American history. And now the reason I'm bringing that up because, you know, this summer is the 400th year since slaves were brought to America in 1619. Now, my research says that the first slaves were actually brought in 1615, but I won't quibble over that, all right? So it's important for us to understand that. So the first slaves were brought to Jamestown. In 1619, 20 and odd Negroes arrived off the coast of Virginia where they were bought for victual by labor-hungry English colonists. The story of these captive Africans has set the stage for countless scholars and teachers interested in telling the story of slavery in English North America. Unfortunately, 1619 is not the best place to begin a meaningful inquiry into the history of African peoples in America. Certainly, there is a story to be told that begins in 1619, but it is neither well suited to help us understand slavery as an institution nor to help us better grasp the complicated place African peoples in the early modern Atlantic world. For too long, the focus on 1619 has led the general public and scholars alike to ignore more important issues and worse, to silently accept unquestioned assumptions that continue to impact us in remarkably consequential ways. As a historical signifier, 1619 may be more insidious than instructive. And that's our black fact for today. Now, by the way, if you want to read, and this particular article does say as early as 1616, blacks from the West Indies were already working in Bermuda. And by the way, even before then, black people were already on the American continent, folks. Y'all do know that, right? Because they were the Native Americans. We talked about this before. I've given you that history before. So just do yourself a favor and go back and look at some of the old pictures of the Cherokees. Those were black folks. Mm-hmm. All right, let's be real about that. All right, so I've got to make a call, but we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a guest, Martella Johnson. Martella. Did I say that right? Martella. Martella? Mm-hmm. Okay, Martella Johnson. She is with the program called Clean Your Glass.
Actually, I'm with Arkansas's chapter of Sankofa for African Consciousness Workshop.
So why haven't we met?
I don't know.
I'm probably the most conscious black man in this city.
I don't know why Robert hasn't introduced
Okay.
us before.
We're going to fix it. Robert will be in a moment. I'm going to give him a good cussing.
Yeah. The brother that's going to be talking with us today, also, his name is Kokai Nusakere.
Okay. We will call him in just a moment and get him on the air. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's take a quick break and let's get all of that set up. You're going to enjoy this particular program. As I told you, we're going to be getting more guests on. I know y'all get tired of hearing me and Robert sometimes. And it is important for us to have other people on to give you a different perspective of some of the same things that we talk about on a regular basis. So we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on joynetradio.com. All right, so let me call him. All right, Jemiah. So when you want to call someone and you're in the middle of a program, you got to put me in, put the board in audition, put the mic in audition, whomever, whatever mic you're going to talk on. Make sure the phone is in audition, okay? And then you can turn it on.
It's gonna be an audition info, man.
Just audition, just for the call. Okay. All right. 541-690-0897. And pronounce his name for me again.
Kokai Nusakere.
Okay. What's up, my brother? This is Dave Coleman from Black Focus Radio. I'm looking for Kokai Nusakere. All right, my brother. We're going to get you there. We're in the middle of a commercial right now. We'll be with you in just a moment, okay?
This is gonna be fun.
Maybe I don't need
Yeah, you can. To hear him, you will need those. Okay. All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. But don't call me right now because we've got a guest on the line, Kokai Nusakere. Along in the studio with us as well is Martella the Great. Martella the Great. So let's talk a little bit about your program now. What I'm seeing here on the handout you gave me, it's called the clean glass theory. Before, I don't even want to read that. I'm going to let
Okay.
you explain what that's all about.
Okay, so basically, what we're doing is we are hosting a series of discussions called Community Empowerment Solutions.
Go back where the refrigerator is.
It's a four-part series where we'll first talk about intergenerational trauma, then we will talk about inherited terrorism, and from there we'll talk about the effects of those two things on the community and the people that are living in the community. And then the fourth part of those discussions will be solutions. What are the solutions that we can implement or have implemented in order to help our people heal from the trauma that they've experienced
So-
for generations?
Tell me a little bit about the organization that you're with.
Okay, so actually I connected with this particular organization, St. Code for African Consciousness Workshop, through a brother out in California. His name is Rod James West. I saw the work that he was doing with the youth, basically taking our children back, educating them on the past. Sankofa isn't a kind word, and there's a phrase that I can't really pronounce correctly, so I don't want to screw it up, but basically it means it's not taboo to look back into the past and fetch what you have lost. And so that's what we're doing. We're looking back into the past, looking at the trauma that we experienced, looking at how it's passed down through generations, and then we're focusing on that and then, helping our people to heal from that trauma so we can stop the transference of the trauma and the effects of the trauma from ourselves to our children and on and so on forth through generations.
That's a wonderful, wonderful concept. I don't know why we have not met before. I owe Robert Webb a good cussing for not introducing us. But in the meantime, don't be looking crazy. In the meantime, let's get our guest on, Kokai Nosaketi. Brother Kokai, how you doing? Now you are calling me from, we're talking to you from Oregon, is that correct? So let's talk about this thing called intergenerational trauma, because I think you all have touched upon something that I think that psychologists, particularly black psychologists, refuse to or are not aware of. Because I truly believe, based on my own personal research, that that trauma has been implanted into our DNA. And Dr. Francis Cress Welsing talked about menticide, the total destruction of the minds of a race of people. And that's really the same thing. We don't support one another. We don't shop at our businesses. We are the only ethnic group that boycott our own people. That's part of that intergenerational trauma that you all is talking about. Give us a little insight on where we're going and how do we fix this, or how do we begin to fix this problem?
Okay, all right. So I'm going to ask you guys to hold me to a boundary to prevent your brother from going too deep.
Brother, let me tell you something. Go deep.
I think I've come up with two good metaphors for us to be able to answer what you just said. I got to lay out some foundation. So I thought of, when it comes down to how our brain works, I want to use Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee teaches us how our brain works. He has a saying that has become famous since he died. Okay? And his saying is, I am not afraid of the man who knows 1,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the man who has done the same kick 1,000 times. Okay? So the front of our brain is where our ideation happens. That's what's talking to you right now. It's my personality. It's what can give you consent. Okay? Through verbal and move the body. But the back of the brain, the root cause, the nervous system, that's what can do that kick at any given time. That's the second half of what he was talking about. All right? So, on top of that basic hardwire, the second metaphor I want to use as a layer is David Banner and the Incredible Hulk. David Banner is when you have all the mental resources in order to cope with whatever challenge or stimuli that's going on right there. Whatever the drama is, you got this, you know you got this, that's when you David Banner. Your trauma response is the Incredible Hulk. Our problem is we've got people that for 9 generations lived as the Incredible Hulk and mutated into these things called the Hollywood monsters. We got werewolves, vampires, zombies running in front of us because they've been so traumatized. We started thinking that their trauma response was their personality. That's what we're talking about in our lifetime and trying to heal from at the present moment. Did that make sense?
It certainly makes sense because, and let me just try to clarify, what we as black people have been living our lives in the trauma mode
Yes.
as opposed to the normal mode. Did I understand you correctly?
Correct. Yes. So we have persons that started working on our psychological landscape early, before I was born. Naam Akbar. So he wrote out in one of his pamphlets in the very beginning of his career a vision,
For black men.
the community itself. What does it look like if you
I'm
actually black it in a healthy environment? Because right now we're still living in unhealthy environments that are akin to I've been to Baltimore. I did that in 2015. 51% unemployment at that time among black males. What kind of trauma are they living under when they're not able to express and self-actualize, and they know that there are structures that are preventing that from happening? So that starts affecting their personality, and we start wondering why these young men at 22 and 23 are unable to make healthy bonds with themselves, others, women, the relationship to anything. And we don't talk specifically enough, like we need to, about the laid out maps that we have currently, like you just said with Dr. Francis Cress Wilson. I had dinner with one of her students, Dr. George Gurley. She was operating out of Portland at that time. This was in 2008. We have people who have solutions. What we do not have is a network of them to flow through of sites that are providing solutions. And that solution is the application of our culture.
Right. You had a question, Robert?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
hey Doc, I'm playing devil's advocate. Doc, you got brothers out there typically say, hey man, black folks is where they are just because they don't want no better. And all this mumbo jumbo you talking, none of that true. Black folks in bad spots because they ain't trying to get out these spots. They just don't want nothing for themselves. What you got to say to that, Doc? I like that pause, Doc.
I would ask you some information from the person that is saying that to me.
Okay.
I want to know what they were doing in the community right now. Who are they trying to develop right now? Did they know what the psychological landscape of the 12 or 15 persons that they were within their sphere of influence, what it is right now? And if they could not give me any data on that front, and they're trying to be an armchair philosopher, I tell them I do not play being a community organizer on Facebook. I am one.
Ashe?
Ashe, my brother. Ashe.
So it's come with facts. If you're gonna make statements about our people, come with facts.
Ooh, that hurts.
Come with
Yeah, I gotta use
what
that
are
one.
you really using to back your thoughts and back your theories?
I don't play
Have you actually
on Facebook. I gotta use that one.
intercepted persons, dealt with them, helped them to assess their trauma, brought to them healing points to heal from the trauma, and then assist them in those steps to the solutions. Because we can't generalize our people, which we do all the time.
Right.
In the Incredible Hug State, I like that brother because so we can't generalize our people without actually looking at the basis and the facts. A lot of times when people talk that way, they want to brush over the experience. You know, if a mother, has had her son ripped away from her unjustly, you know what I'm saying? You can't go to that mother and say you didn't do all you were supposed to do, because if you had it, your child wouldn't have went that way. Because that's not true. If that mother has went up and faced systemic oppression, and she's witnessed her child face systemic oppression, then you can't come and tell her that systemic oppression does not exist.
I got you. I like that. All right, next question. So you said that blacks are growing up. I can't remember now how you quoted it. You just gave me thinking about too much. War torn situations. Can you speak more to that for me, please?
I spend 97% of my time working on implementing solutions. There was a community garden that I heard of on Facebook, and so I'm down there on the ground. I meet up with the young man who was leading that development, and he tells me what he's doing, and I listen to him and connect and do some exchange of advice and do some national connection on that front. So I think I got down with another activist at night and walked one of the brothers to the social list of them who got shot, Freddie Gray in his neighborhood. Yes, I was in Freddie Gray's neighborhood. And I killed that boy like 2 hours. And they was popping off and everything. And I'm meeting a couple of neighbors, and they were amazed, me coming from Alaska, that I had the exact same response that they were having. Just like that, the hood is the hood. Fairview, this still feels just like Fairview. I'm not startled, I have a startled response. That's indicative of, dude, we live in war-torn conditions to the point that gunfire does not cause a response out of us. Is it clear?
Oh, that's very clear, my brother. My daughter, her thesis was about PTSD in the inner city. And it speaks to that very thing about we are so conditioned, and my brother Robert over here talks often about the fact that when you see a shooting in a white school, they always got to get counselors, okay? But when that happens in the black community,
It happens every day in the block.
we rarely have counseling come to see black children and help them through that process. And every time you say that, I'll tell you one movie that jumps out to me, and it'll hit you like a ton of bricks, and it'll speak to what we're talking about. The beginning of Boys in the Hood.
Oh yeah.
You want to see a dead body?
Yeah.
Great example.
You want to see a dead body?
Yeah, great example.
Because it is so routine in our communities, we're not understanding that trauma is subconsciously affecting our children. But it's so routine, we really don't even demand to do anything about it.
Yeah.
And that's problematic.
Well, Doc, I'm gonna share this with you, and I want you to give me a little insight back on this. I often say that a kid who was born in 2001 in my neighborhood will be 18 today. So that kid in his 19 years of living, he's witnessed 26 homicides in his neighborhood. Right? And when I say his neighborhood, I'm stretching it out 6 blocks north, south, east, and west. Right? But 26. So he's normalized death.
Right.
He's normalized.
Right.
So Doc, speak to that a little bit for us about how do we, and also before you do, well, not before, but after, talk to us a little bit about how we approach dealing with kids who've dealt with this and what kind of behaviors do we see for them in school, because I think that's important that those conversations are never had when we talk about kids in school, those conversations about the impact of their communities, how their communities look like war zones, those conversations are never had when we discuss black youth in public school.
Are you there?
Oh, this is yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
So, I mean, okay. Addressing the trauma, it's so unique, meaning that within each community they've got a different story that they've been telling themselves for 2 or 3 generations. Does that make sense?
It does.
And you got to tailor everything to that throughout the entire system. Okay? So I can only give like a generic answer to any complex question like you just articulated, which is process orientated, which means that you really need to find some soldiers from within the community and the family or those who are hurting, whatever that is, because they're the ones that can create the key for everybody else because they're using the same psychological landscape. That's why Marcus Garvey works for us. That's why Elijah Muhammad works for us. That's why you can't bring value into our community and you do the exact same thing you were doing with this other community because it just doesn't work on that front. The person has to look like you so that you can, your mirror neurons reflect that, and then you can start believing that you can do the new thing too, but you gotta see exactly the new thing. Hence we start talking about the clean glass theory. So if we rely on what Nyam Akbar says, what Francis Cresswellson says, what Dr. Joy Gurley says, the first thing that we start doing is using our culture as a defense and saying that we are not perceiving reality or social interactions incorrectly, we are seeing them correctly. And then start strategically changing our relationships with everything that is within the system because we're recognizing the system is white supremacist from the ground up. Inside your house and all the environment that you can't control, you put up black images. You unapologetically call out race and act from the space of being your own self in every situation. So when you interact with the school system, like Dr. Omar is constantly trying to articulate to us, because he is pretty good on that front, and dealing with the tracking that our children are put into, the categories that children are put into by the stereotypes and the information that they purposely want to plant into our children. By you being your own self, you remove yourself from that space. You don't have to stay in that space and learn how to cope in that treacherous space. We can pull ourselves out as the immediate safety net and then begin using our own collective relationship web in order to provide the solution, because we can provide spaces where we love on each other. A lot of times we're believing that we cannot just initiate the solution of loving on each other. Did I get close to an answer? Because again, you gave me a very complex question.
I'm thinking about what I'm still processing some of what you said. I'm just, give me a minute, let me chew on that for a minute.
Is it okay if I interject?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so when we're talking about our youth, especially our young men, and the trauma that they experience that they don't receive the counseling and everything for, we do have to, what we need to do, I think, is definitely help them to recognize what their experience is as a traumatic experience and not the normal day-to-day life experience. And until we do that, then our community is going to continually produce children, male children, that are reacting in the incredible state of mind because they're operating from trauma. Okay, in order for us to make a change and make a difference in their lives, that's something that we just absolutely have to do. And before we do that, or as we are doing that, we have to help their parents to understand that your children and yourself are responding from trauma. That's what the whole discussion of intergenerational trauma is about, because your parents' response to trauma affects you in a certain way. Say, like when I was younger, right? So my parents' response to my mother's response to trauma was not being able to. My mother had 9 children, 8 living. None of our dads were in the home, so she was forced to raise us on her own. She would have to work, but eight children, that's a lot of mouths to feed for one person. And so her traumatic experience was having to move us into a neighborhood that was low income, the projects. And in the projects, that living was hard and rough. You talk about, the beginning of the movie, Boys in the Hood, you want to see a dead body. Well, I actually witnessed a person being shot. And that was traumatic for me, but I didn't view it as being traumatic. My response to seeing this person shot, they fell onto a white car, and that car used to be the prettiest white color to me. But after that, it was always dingy and dirty, So because my mother, through her traumatic experience of not being able to have the assistance that she needed or have the ability to put us in a more or less violent neighborhood, so my response to that trauma was growing up, in the neighborhoods where there was always fighting and shooting, and then that became the norm for me. So her pushing in us, work and get a good job, go to school. We did those things, went through that. The public school system is traumatic for a child also. I want to point that out. So then my response to her trauma was, okay, I'm going to, try to live a better life, because if I have children, I don't want to expose my children to the same neighborhood, and environment that I grew up in. And so that's what I worked hard to do. And even in doing that, I, faced a lot of the systemic oppression that my mother would face with trying to make it and trying to get ahead as a Black woman. But I was able to put my children in a different environment. But even in doing that, then I transferred trauma to my children. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so that's what we have to look at, how we are transferring the trauma from generation to generation. And the first thing that we really have to do is address it as trauma before we can even begin to heal from it.
Y'all talking about trauma, and I'm going to tell y'all something funny. So, I guess it was probably 2017, 2016, I think. I remember I stopped going to homicides. I stopped going to the homicide scenes whenever they would have a homicide in the city, right? And the reason I stopped going was because it got to the point that it was like, before it really bothered me, because when I first started going, I used to look at it and think, you know what? Man, this kid laying here like an animal. But then the more involved I became in politics, I started asking myself questions like, I wonder if he graduated. I wonder what kind of grades he made. I wonder who his teachers were. I wonder did he know about any of the city programs, right? I mean, all these things would go through my head. Well, it was like the more I went to these things, I got angry, right? And so I remember in 16, I went to one, and as I was standing there, I just felt nothing, right? And I didn't have a question. I stood there for a minute, and I just got back in my truck and I left. And it didn't dawn on me none of that dawned on me till I think I was driving to New Orleans in July of 18, I think it was, or July of 17. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. It was like, I've got to the point now where I've normalized it. I don't know how, but I've really normalized people like me getting murdered. Don't get me wrong, it still bothered me.
Right.
But it didn't bother me the way it should have, right? And so that's when I decided I gotta let it go. I gotta get out. Let somebody else who's asking themselves those questions, somebody else has to take that role and do that thing, because I ain't there no more in that headspace, right? And I think it's important to be in that headspace, because there's no way you should be able to go to a homicide scene like that and not have those things go through your head.
Right.
If you are involved in politics in that way, you with me? So yeah, that was part of my reason, Dave, for retiring.
Well,
so you know.
I'm just listening to you all because I'm thinking. I don't know if you all have seen the book "Nigger Please" by Dr. Rosa Milligan, and in the book, she writes down, or at least that was the first time I saw the full Willie Lynch letter. Okay, and it talks about the Willie Lynch syndrome. And the trauma that has impacted our community is basically what they did was get the biggest, the toughest, the baddest black man on the plantation, tie him between two horses, or four horses, and basically rip him apart in front of every black slave on the plantation.
Yeah.
That was a mental attack, which was the beginning of a lot of trauma that we face or black mothers face as it relates to their black sons. Because instead of teaching your black son, we talk all the time about mothers raise their daughters and love their sons. They typically give their daughters everything that they need to survive, to be successful. But their black sons, they typically let them just grow up like wild weeds. And Dr. Milligan's concept is that that's part of the process, or of that intergenerational trauma, that mother trying to shield her son from going out and being an object of the man, so to speak. So Doc, could you talk a little bit about that? Did you hear me?
Right there? You still here? No. You stop it. Yeah.
Off here, I'm going to give you a fourth person that you're talking to.
No, we're talking to you, my brother. That's out of respect.
No problem. I apologize. I thought there was a fourth voice that I heard, and I apologize for not hearing the differentiation. Could you please repeat the question, because I really thought it was two or something.
Okay, the question is that this intergenerational trauma, in a nutshell, began in slavery, okay? And what we need to be able to do, or I guess I should say, what are some of your, in a nutshell, some of your solutions or potential solutions on how we can begin to address it? Because all of us sitting in this room, we understand it. Okay?
I ain't gonna say I understand it.
But we are aware of it.
We're aware of it.
We're aware of it. How do we begin to communicate these messages to black people who are not ready to accept this message?
Well, I think we practice our culture because we already have the solutions. Quoting it. Meaning that we have somebody, if you are a Generation X, if you are Gen X, born in the 70s, then that means that there was something that was specifically created for us as an enhancement of what was already existing from Carter G. Woodson. There was Negro History Week. We created Black History Month. And then we have evolved Black History Month. We begin practicing our culture because our culture is built to help us self-actualize in spite of white supremacy. And that goes back to the creating the systems of care that allow you to be able to grow up. So, what Malala Karinga wrote down when it comes down to black studies, what Kiki Asante wrote down when it came down to curriculum and keeping things Afrocentric and how to decenter whiteness in our lives so that you don't have any of it reflected within your living space. There are practical things that we can do when it comes down to our purchasing power. But when it comes down to specifically addressing the trauma that we're dealing with, Resma Minicam, a therapist out of Minneapolis, has written a book called My Grandmother's Hand. It has lots of exercises in it, so it's not supposed to be a therapeutic workbook. It has lots of suggestions and exercises in it on how we create rituals in order to enhance meaning in our lives, deepen our connection to our spiritual center, and then move forward. And on his end, he's got 3 tracks. What black people need to do, what white people need to do, and what, he says the police body, but really those who are in structural authority in America need to do. All of it keeps coming back to culture, meaning making, and how we renew ourselves and recharge our batteries so that we can keep showing up as David Banner and not as the Incredible Hulk. But you're talking about, again, with all the trauma that you just got through articulating and laying out historically, yes, that is the second part of Bruce Lee's proverb. That's that it's been done so many times, 1,000 times, to where it is a part of our brainstem, and we're doing it unconsciously. You push the button and you get the Incredible Hulk each and every time. To change that program,
That is deep.
you got it now. Do something different 1,000 times.
So before you, just quickly, because can we do that? What you're suggesting or what you're advocating with the current religion intact in our communities?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
How? Because let me give you an example. This past week in Kenya, one of the preachers over there had Caesar, image of Caesar Borgia, okay? And this was a white guy dressed up like Caesar Borgia, who was the cousin of Da Vinci, who painted the so-called first picture of a white Jesus.
He was actually the son of the Pope.
Exactly. Right. So my question is, with so many of us still, and I'm not anti-religion, I'm pro-spirituality. There's a difference. With so many of us in America who is still inundated with that image, how do we break that cycle in order to realize what you're talking about?
Bruce Lee's second proverb, meaning the second half with the repetition. If they can make a hit record out of anything by playing it 87 times on the radio, I mean, they got it down to a number. Specific times that it has to be repeated into the populace for anybody to understand something, because the brain is gonna work. It's just a mechanical system. So what we need to do is then you surround them, change the environment, and surround them with the images that we want them to delve into. And we start teaching real history, because there weren't any white people in the Bible other than the New Testament. There were some of the Romans that got brought in. Otherwise, we're talking about at least, 1,200 pages of original people in the Middle East who are having issues with each other.
When we think about it, that's how the enemy has been able to indoctrinate our children, by kicking them in the head with these images repetitively on television, audio through the radio, especially in the school system. So our children are repetitively hit with these facts of their historical point of view, of their culture, or what they've gleaned from other cultures and made into their culture. So they have been repetitively hitting our children with it. So our defense to that and response to that should be for us to create ways and activities that repetitively hit them with our culture, our history, with our historical facts. It's not going to be an easy fight, because how many years do they have on us? And they always are stopping our access to radio and television, and even when you look at how they have events, it's very hard for us to put on an event for our people, repetitively. But, and whenever there's an event that we put together, there's a lot of melanin-dominant beings that come together that come with that show of force, police lights. Right. They may not be right there, and some of the police will be walking around in the midst of the crowd. But they don't do that with their events. They don't have police sitting up the street flashing lights. They don't do that, And so we always, that's going to be the battle. We have to make sure that our children know that there is an opposite. I was just explaining to my children about positive and negative, and how you have actually 3 energy fields that you're working with: positive, negative, and neutral. In order for you to neutralize great negativity, you have to come in with great positivity, and where it meets, that's where you neutralize it. And then there's a shift and there's a change. And so we have to come in with these activities, which, Sankofa workshops and other, programs and activities that our people in the community that already have established. We are not saying reinvent the wheel. We're not saying that there aren't activities and things that our children can be involved in. But like I heard you mention earlier, when you see a tall young black male, don't tell them they look like a basketball player. Tell them they look like a lawyer, a doctor. You know, that's effective. So we have to change the vision of our children by, you know, constantly and repetitively hitting them with these images and ideas and these activities that we put on for them. Will we have opposition? Yes, it's expected, because they don't want our children to change, to have a switch in mindset from being a consumer to a producer, from being entertainment to being a professional. You know what I'm saying? So we just have to do that.
Brother Nokasari, we've got a couple of minutes to go. Wrap it up for us. I understand, and I do want. He's coming to town, right?
Yes.
Okay. Before we let him wrap up, tell us a little bit about the event that's coming to town. I know it's going to be a cost, but we're not going to worry about that. But talk a little bit, because I gotta admit to you, okay, I am happy that I decided to go ahead and let you guys on the show today. Because what you guys are talking about today is what we talk about every day on Black Focus Radio, about breaking those chains, about changing your mindset, about looking at things differently from what you were taught. So I think it's important now to let people know about the seminar that you're going to have here in Little Rock. We're going to bring you back. And Brother Nokasari, we're going to make sure that you are on the show when you come to Little Rock as well. So talk a little bit about that event, please.
Okay, so the event is going to be August the 24th. That's on a Saturday. It's going to be from 1:30 to 4:30. It's a panel discussion where Brother Kakai Nisipedi is going to lead the discussion. We're going to have 4 panelists from the city. We have confirmed right now Nanny Curry. We have a retired educator, Dean Marshall, and a brother that works with our community, Kareem Moody. That's going to be at the Women's Cultural Center that's located on 10th and Cross. We'll have a meet and greet starting at 1:30. You come in, have some food, have some drinks, and then we'll lead off into the conversation, and we're going to toss it around, and then we're going to have questions from the members of the audience that come out. And we're also going to be making sure that we highlight solutions at that event. So we won't be just coming out and talking, just to talk. We're going to implement, we'll have solutions in places. We're going to do Sankofa workshops that will be free, where we're going to create these spaces of recognition of your trauma, addressing your trauma, healing, and then activities that you can do to help to move you to a better place.
By the way, Robert's not going to be on the panel.
I talked with him about that, and he was like, "Girl, I don't
do that.
about
I don't do
no
that.
babies."
I don't do that.
I will tell you that now that we've met, my goal since I've been back to Little Rock is to put on a rites of passage camp.
Okay.
And I will be reaching out to you
Yes.
to assist me with that, because next spring, hopefully we can pull this off. Because where I live, Nashville and Memphis, I did them on a regular basis. We were, at one point, we had gotten up to 125 kids.
Okay.
And we were not only doing rites of passage, we were doing queenship camps as well for the young women. So it was called rites of passage and queenship. So we will be talking.
See how I do that?
See, Robert, you
see how I do that, man?
Yeah,
Y'all see how I do that, right? Y'all see how I do that,
I'm proud of you, man.
Y'all see how I do that, right?
I'm proud of you, man.
I don't want no money. I got to pay me for that. That's just what a brother do, man.
Brother Nosakati, it's been a pleasure to have you on Black Focus Radio. This is right up our alley. Our theme is our issues, our solutions, our voices, not theirs.
Right.
And so, if you can, wrap it up for us. Tell us where we're going, how we get there.
Well, we're going to implement the solutions that have been given to us by our ancestors, since we have so many to draw from. But I mean, specifically want to invite people to choose to heal, because that is a choice. That's just what you got through saying. Changing your mindset, specifically changing your behaviors and giving yourself enough grace to do that, and the time to do that. And while going through the ups and downs of your own personal growth, believe that there are others who want to heal too, because we start feeling lonely and thinking that we're the only ones who are choosing to go into the new space, which is a bold-faced lie. So as we continue to heal and learn who and what we really are and show up as ourselves without trying to diminish our light and speak truth to power, we build a community where, there are others like us and we can enjoy being human rather than have to talk 24 hours about how the mechanisms of oppression are preventing us rising and doing what we want to do for ourselves.
Hey, before we go, Doc, not Doc, I apologize. I wanted to make one correction because I want people trying to discredit what we're trying to do because they're quick to do that kind of stuff. Earlier, David referenced you as doctor, and I just wanted to clear up, and I wanted to ask you to make sure we get it right. You are not a doctor, correct?
No, I do not have a PhD. Yeah, so I was a little confused on that part.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
PhD. I'm a community organizer, and if you Google me, there's like 3 pages worth of material. The biggest thing in the last year I did was the juvenile hunger strike that I got tired of a Republican administration dilly-dallying with food going to children in the breakfast and school program.
Can you really see Russia from Alaska?
Typically, it's something called the 16th curvature of the earth.
And I would like to definitely give an introduction to the
He is a grassroots strategist and solutionary.
So that's what he does. He's a national organizer.
I can't wait till you
There
get
you go.
it.
So again, this is going to be Saturday, August 24th, 1:30 to 4:30. There is an admission of $20, but hey, y'all throw $20 away on hair, weed, beer, whatever. Okay. It's at the Women's Cultural Center on 10th and Cross. If you want more information about this event, call 501-541-1261, or you can send an email to the Temple of Consciousness, I like that, at gmail.com. Folks, this is the kind of stuff that we need to break the cycle. Okay?
That's
And it doesn't matter that Kokai Nosakiti isn't a doctor. He definitely
It does not. It does not.
He definitely has a fix.
Well, that wasn't the point I wanted
Appeal.
to make. The point I wanted to make
something that we
was...
do have to get away from.
That's the point.
These
Yeah.
titles that the Europeans want to put on.
Exactly.
And have us
It-
know if you don't have this paper,
You're
Right,
not
right,
effective.
right.
Exactly.
that's not true.
Exactly.
The point I wanted to make with that is, you know how quickly... Oh. Right.
There you
right.
go.
We are providing those solutions. We ain't got to look to nobody else and step up and do what we know we can do for ourselves.
Exactly. And so the point I wanted to make with that was I know how quickly people try to discredit what we're trying to do. And if I make a Freudian slip by calling you doctor, and somebody say, y'all told me I was paying this money to see a doctor. This Blake ain't no doctor.
Right.
So that's why I wanted to make
Right.
that point. It meant nothing else. So I don't want anybody to take that the wrong way. That was all. I just wanted to make sure I cleared that up. And one more thing. Mandela always doing great stuff, man. And she always tries to include me. I ain't worthy, dog. I ain't worthy.
You definitely
I ain't worthy.
Wait a minute.
I ain't worthy of Mandela. And let me tell you
How long
hold
have
on,
we
hold
been
on,
doing
hold
this
on.
show?
No, I'm gonna tell
How
you.
long have we been doing this show?
That's
And
not-
you have never introduced this woman to me. How long? We've been.
Have I not introduced you to Mandela?
No, you have not.
That's my bad then. I thought I had. I actually thought y'all had hooked up. That's my bad. So I apologize. But Mandela always doing great stuff, right? My thing is, man, I don't do the public thing. I don't do the public speaking thing. I don't do that. That ain't my area. That ain't my lane. My lane is my hood. My lane is my folk. That's my lane, right? That's somebody
our
else's
lane.
lane. I mean, but the whole speaking part ain't my thing, right? So I like the radio show. Can nobody see me? I can come in looking how I want to look, but up there I gotta look a certain way. But right here, I ain't shaved in 7 months. I ain't combed my hair, ain't brushed
Why
my
do you
teeth.
have to
All
look
that.
a certain way?
I'm just kidding.
Just put on a clean
No,
shirt
but my
and
thing
clean
is,
little pants.
my thing is, I do what I do because it's something I need to do, right? And I ain't trying to talk about it. I ain't trying to shut up with nobody. I'm just doing my thing in my lane, and I don't want to do all that other stuff. That ain't got nothing to do with my work.
That's why we work together. I'm a behind the scenes type of person.
That's it right there. So I can do my thing and go on with my business.
All right, Mr. Going about your
Now,
business.
Dave, next time when you need somebody, don't call me. Call Dave.
Hey,
Definitely.
I
Dave,
will.
Dave will show. Now, that's, what? I didn't
I'll
even
rock
think about
your
you.
world.
I didn't even think about you when she called me. There you go. I know. She's sick. He's sick.
Brother Kokai, again, we're looking forward to you coming to Little Rock. I'm certainly looking forward to meeting you as well. Hey, thanks for joining Black Focus Radio today. And man, you keep spitting that fire, brother, because people are listening. I guarantee you.
God bless you and everything that you're doing.
No doubt about it. All right, we got to take.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, we got to take the top of the hour break. And again, Martella Johnson, I thank you for coming in as well. We will be doing more things now that a little birdie has hooked us up.
Okay.
And it ain't that birdie sitting beside you. Okay.
That's terrible, man. He get no credit. See what's up, right? You see what's up, right?
All right, we got to take the top of the hour break. You're listening to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices on joinnetradio.com. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Thanks for having us again.
Well, we'll definitely have you again for sure. For sure.
He'll be here the 20th. We're going to go in the neighborhood. What he's really known for is his love letters. So he writes the letters out and puts them in the envelope, and he sticks them on cards and, passes to the hands of people. So it kind of changes the energy.
Okay.
So if someone's having a bad day, they might get that letter, open it up, and when they read it, it's encouragement.
Wow.
He also
That's a great idea.
he also passes out or posts up take what you need flyers, and so it'll say take what you need, and on the bottom is confidence, a hug, whatever, a smile, you know what I'm saying, self-love. You can just rip it off the bottom of there and take what you need. So those are the main things that he really focuses on. We're going to be doing it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So definitely, when he gets in town, if he can, we'll do a whole show with him, the whole 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just let us know. Let me know ahead of time, and we'll promo him, and we'll do the whole show with him that day. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great because, like I say, the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 23rd. Any one of those days is awesome.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. All right. You wanna?
You can keep the flyer.
Okay. All right. Good. Thanks a lot.
All right, Robert.
Love you.
Revenue too.
You gonna get some food before you go?
I mean, that was for the interns. I don't take away from you.
Well, only one came, so you can. There's plenty over there.
Okay. Fix me a sandwich.
And you need to get over on the mic because we're gonna interview you about your experience with Sims. Your first time.
It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-863-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above.
Oh, I will tell you that I met with Little Rock Central this morning. We're going to be broadcasting all of their home games.
They understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy.
So if your company wants to sponsor, run some spots, you need to let me know.
I just want to them on the sponsor broadcast.
Fantastic. Okay. Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, I told him that it would be a lot easier than you think to get sponsors. People have been waiting on this, so we're gonna and it looks like our in studio producer maybe.
That's 870-246.
What's up, IBG?
You know, so I'm really excited about it. This is something that is long overdue.
Okay, give me an idea what you think about as far as sponsors.
Probably about anywhere from 500 to a grand.
Okay.
And what that'll cover, basically, because we need to be able to run some of your spots if you want, or at least give you some acclamation as far as being a sponsor.
Yeah, man. My thinking is what we do ain't really for like we wouldn't.
Well,
you know, I mean.
Right, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So you
radio spots really wouldn't do me any good.
Okay.
I mean, only reason I want to do it is just because you're doing the Central game.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, we'll work it out.
Whatever else you want to do it, I'll get you.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll work it out. All right. Welcome back to the show. Dave Coleman along with Robert Webb in the house. I want to thank Martella Johnson for coming in and helping me. You know what? It just goes to show you that sometimes, even though you are reticent about things initially,
Man, you know what? Yesterday you didn't look. You didn't. Only thing you was worried about was $20. And I know how we had a conversation about
Right,
that.
right.
And I get that. That was the only thing you was really concerned
Right.
about. Because you was looking at it like,
yeah.
I was like, hey man, do your thing, man. But just go ahead and call her back. And Dave was like,
And I'll be honest, I was
I
a little reticent in calling
You
her.
wasn't feeling it.
I wasn't feeling her.
You wasn't feeling
But
it.
that's why sometimes you just got to take the advice of others.
Yeah, well,
and trust
my thing
their
is,
advice.
I don't try to influence people to do stuff, right? I just said call it, Dave. I know who I deal with. If somebody said, if you told me you want to do something, and somebody said, I don't know if I want to do it, I was like, look, just give him a call. Because if you talk to the brother and he don't want to do it, it ain't nothing wrong with him. There's something wrong with you if you talk to the brother. You wouldn't.
Right.
So I mean, I have not told anybody to call you, and you've been like, Rob,
Now, why you tell that
why
person
you
to
tell
call
that
me?
person to call me? You with me? Yeah. Some people.
I don't know you.
Some people you be like, man, why you telling me to call me? Yeah, I know that dude.
But I'm excited because, as I've told you, Robert, that I've been trying to get together a rites of passage camp for quite some time.
Yeah, you hooked up with the right person.
And-
Mandela make it happen.
And to be able to pull that off, and the reason I haven't done it because I need the right people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mandela's one of the right people.
And people that are dedicated to the struggle and understand the struggle and not afraid to speak it into existence.
You got Mandela.
You understand what I'm saying? So I'm excited about this. We've got some stuff coming here next spring for young people, and I think you all are going to love it.
She the buzz, man. She all the buzz.
Pretty clear. I like
She
her.
is, she is.
I like her.
I like her. But don't forget the sister make her own soap, man. I've been buying soap from her for the longest. And Mandela, if you listening, you ain't going too far. Bring me back my soap.
Why didn't you tell me? Because we could have plugged that and...
Because you know what?
Man, you be slipping,
I was
dog.
in a moment. I was in a
Look.
spot.
Jemiah over there shaking your
Hey,
head.
nah, I'm
shaking
finna
her
tell
head.
Ivan now before I forget. Ivan, I'm finna make me an order. I want you to make me 2 shirts. 2 long sleeve button down collar shirts. I'm gonna pay you whatever you charge me. I just want 2. I want 1 white and 1 blue. And you tell me when you gonna make them, and I'm gonna bring my son too. We're gonna get 4 of them. Get 2 for me and 2 for him. So we finna see what your skills is. You got your new machine and everything. It's about to go down, Ivan.
Yeah, sister girl, mom, baby
It's
face,
about to
sweet potato
go
pie.
down, Ivan.
Yeah. So Miss Ivy is in studio. We hate Clayton didn't make it, but one of the things that we had wanted to do, Robert had promised to take them to lunch, and we talked about Sims Barbecue, and we found out that Miss Ivy had never eaten Sims Barbecue,
She was like, "What's that?"
and I really almost started crying.
Yeah, because she said, "I am too bougie for Sims."
Yeah, I almost started crying.
She said, "I don't do."
I mean, what black child in this city, a teeny, has never eaten Sims Barbecue?
That's a Sims.
You know?
That's like you can't say you black and you ain't never heard of Sims.
So
You ain't never ate a Sims, a piece of Sims barbecue.
yeah, so I started
You
worrying.
was probably born after a Sims barbecue dinner.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Say that you ain't never had no Sims.
So then I worried about people. I heard noises and I thought that was the black car police coming to take a black car.
Yeah.
And I said, we gotta save this young black
Ivy,
sister.
you mean tell me you never had Sims before? Really? Seriously?
No. I know what it was though, but I just never ate it.
Never
And
eaten it before? Really?
So-
So you mean to tell me you wasn't at your grandma's house and she was like, you know what, y'all, tonight we gonna eat Sims. We ain't
I don't feel like
going
cooking.
to Red Lobster.
I don't like cooking, so see.
Oh, okay, so she got a cooking grandma, so I can see why she bought him.
Yeah,
I give you that one. Then.
But you've now eaten Sim. So while we were having our last guest, Miss Ivy was over there throwing down on Sim's
She
barbecue.
was killing it.
Okay.
Hold on, by the way, how was the Sims?
It was good,
But you got a buff for Sims?
but it's not for me. Like,
So you don't like barbecue?
not that kind.
What?
I mean, it was,
Oh, okay. So you you don't like vinegar sauce, though, right? Vinegar barbecue sauce.
What type of barbecue do you like?
just regular, like hot dogs, right?
That ain't barbecue, that's grilling.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's what I call it. I call it barbecue.
But you know what? Black people do that.
That's barbecue. barbecue.
If it's a grill, it's barbecue. Hey man, I'm barbecue. What's your barbecue? Nah, I got some barbecue. I got some burgers out there. And then what we do is we'll put some barbecue sauce on the burgers. That's how we do it. So yeah, she's straight up from the hood. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So Miss Ivy, you are getting ready to go back to school. When does school start for you?
August 13th.
August 13th. And you couldn't figure out a way to be transferred to Central, huh?
I could, but
You don't want to go to Central?
See, if you went to...
I was thinking about it, but
Girl, what's wrong with you just thinking about it?
Why you don't want to go to a real school? Why you don't want to go to a really incredible school?
The best school in the state.
I don't know.
Didn't want to leave your friends, I guess.
Yeah, it's like I've been there for so long, so I might as well just be over. But I don't know. I was thinking about it. I haven't made my mind up. And they already took their senior pictures.
Oh, okay.
So it's like,
Okay.
What's wrong with that? You've been two senior pictures there, right?
but they already took theirs.
Oh, Central, you mean?
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So you mean if I transferred my senior year, I wouldn't be in the senior picture, right? They don't take another one during the year?
No, they always take them. They either take them the year before.
I never took one, so I don't know.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Yeah, they typically take them the year before. Now what they do is they let you go out and take your own pictures now.
Oh, you talk about the pictures for the yearbook.
Right. And then of course you get those.
Cap and gown and all that.
You get all that stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I got you. I did do that. I thought y'all was talking about like a big picture
Oh,
where
okay.
everybody took a picture.
So are you in that like puke red, white, and blue McClellan colors?
That is not pretty.
Yeah. It is nasty.
That is not pretty.
I was gonna ask for a picture, but I think I won't now.
Yeah, we gonna pass on that.
We just messing with you, of course. Y'all gonna get a picture, and you gonna take it, and you gonna love it.
Hey, if you give me one, I'm gonna put black, gold, and white across the top, and the only thing I'm gonna see is your face, and everything else gonna be covered. It's over with.
Well, some of y'all may have heard on Facebook, one of the things that we've got planned coming up, it is in the planning stages, but it is pretty sure it's gonna happen. We wanted to make sure that Black Focus Radio was going to be the mecca of information for Little Rock, and it's slowly becoming that. This morning I spent about an hour and a half talking to the athletic director for Little Rock Central, as well as the new head coach, Coach Kent Laster, about doing a Little Rock Central broadcast of all of their home games. We are excited about that. It's 90% going to happen. In fact, it's gonna happen. We've already
You're gonna actually do it yourself.
I will be doing the play-by-play from the
Who you gonna
games.
do it with?
We right now I don't have a color person as of yet. My goal is to bring various former alums to come and sit in with me for a few minutes to talk about the game. The whole point is Little Rock Central is big enough and bad enough to have its own broadcast. And the alum, we put out 500 something people every year. And we should be capitalizing on that commitment because unlike any other school in this state, Central can compete with the Pulaski Academies because of its size, depth, and breadth of its alumni. Yeah. We just have to get the alumni engaged.
You got to commit to the support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So part of that, the broadcast, is to begin to get the alumni engaged. Not just so if you can't go to the game, then you can tune in to Joynet Radio on Friday nights at 7 o'clock and listen to the broadcast. If you're out of state, because we have a lot of alum out of state, you can tune in to Joynet Radio on Friday nights and get the updates on what's going on as it relates to the broadcast of Little Rock Central football games, but also we're going to incorporate some of the other things that are going on in the school itself as well. So we are really excited about it. We will be looking for sponsors. We will be looking for people who want to get involved with this broadcast. But I'm telling you folks, I am really, really excited. This is a big lick for not just Central, but for this station as well, because it fits into the mission of when I put this show together, of what we want to do for this community.
Right on.
So I'm really excited. And I say all that because there's a possibility that we might have a foreigner doing the in-studio production.
Who?
A foreigner.
Oh, you mean Ivy?
Yeah.
Ivy, a foreigner?
We'll adopt her.
That's right. She is a foreigner, but she don't know nothing about singing. And she go to McLaren.
And she go to McLaren.
And she go. You know, we've officially adopted you, but you got to switch the rules.
You're gonna have to step it up.
We can't do
know.
this. We can't do this in good conscience. You got to switch the
I
rules.
don't know what your problem is, but
You are
need to
officially
do
part
that.
of the family, but you cannot go to McLaren. You cannot graduate from McLaren. You cannot walk across that stage with that blue stuff.
That ugly.
Blue, red, and
Yeah, that
it's
puke
just-
red, white, and blue.
Yeah, that's horrible. You can wear a black and gold.
Yep.
And we can call the superintendent after the show. And tell him
Yeah,
we want you to go to
I
Central.
know people who know
We
people who
finna
know
call right now. Me and Dave gonna call as soon as the show.
people. I know people who
We're
know
gonna tell
people.
him we want you to go to Central. We need him to take senior pictures of you in your black and gold.
Hey,
Is you down?
Hey, I got a camera.
Is you down?
Hey,
Let's call Mike.
Hey,
right
I got a camera.
Let's call Mike right now.
Because we know the superintendent.
We'll call
By the
Mike
way,
right now.
guess whose name came up in the meeting this morning?
Who?
Mike Pores.
No.
I'll have to tell you.
No,
about it.
yeah.
I'll tell you about it. But anyway, that's what we've got on the agenda.
That's gonna happen. We're
Yeah.
gonna do it. baby.
Hell to the old goal, baby.
Hell to the old
come on,
goal,
put
hell
your,
to
come
the
on,
black.
come on, put your fist up. Come on, look at it. Ah, we
No,
got
he's
it.
gonna teach you the fight song.
We got it.
The
All
first
right.
line is hail to the old gold,
Hell to the Oko.
hail
Yep.
to the black,
Hell to the black.
Hell, alma mater.
mater, hail alma mater.
Hell, I'm on my
None does she lack.
None does she lack.
None does she lack.
We love no other,
We love no others.
so let our motto be
So let our motto be
victory.
victory.
Central.
She is fully in the hey.
We got her
You
there.
in now, dog.
Yeah,
You in now.
you are under our
And we about to
spell.
make the call. We about to make the call.
All right, 855-525.
Monday we will announce the news.
We've taken her away. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us if you want to join. By the way, Mr. Brack, former choir director at Little Rock Central, just joined our Facebook page.
What's up, Mr.
There
Lee?
you go.
What's up?
There you go.
That's what's up.
So, but yeah, we're looking forward to that. That's going to be fun as well. Let's see. One of the other things that I wanted to cover was, we have been having some issues here in this city. And many people believe that if you start putting black people in certain positions, that things will begin to change. And I ran across this story yesterday because I thought it was important for us to at least address it a little bit today. And what it is if you remember the story of Alton Sterling, I think we all do. Alton Sterling was selling CDs at a station, at a store in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and cop shows up. Alton Sterling ends up dead. And those cops didn't lose their job. They weren't prosecuted. I mean, you know the story.
Right.
Yada, yada, yada. So I ran across a story yesterday from the Advocate from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And apparently, that might be changing as far as attitudes. Recently, Baton Rouge elected a black sheriff. Okay? Now, before you roll your eyes, Robert, just listen to the story. Okay? And the black sheriff, not only did he fire the person that was Alton Sterling's murderer, he apologized to Alton Sterling's relatives and vowed that that will never happen again on his watch, and said that police officer never should have been hired in the first place. Because when they went back and looked at his record, they realized that he had had many other improprieties as it relates to.
Which is usually the case.
Exactly. So I say all of that to say that maybe things are changing. Now, it's going to take more than just one sheriff.
Hold on, man. it's see, because you piss me off, and I got to say this.
Remember,
So,
Miss Iverson, she's got my back. So
You read the article. I'm sure you read the article in the paper yesterday about Hayward Finks and how he tried to throw
I'm headed that way.
Well,
I'm headed that
I'll
way.
wait there.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, because that's why I'm bringing it up.
This is what's problematic for me, right? So Willie was suspended for 10 days. He had never been reprimanded. He had never had anything ever done.
You're talking about Officer Willie Davis.
Officer Willie Davis never ever had anything done. Never had any write-ups. Not one. Not one write-up that Willie ever had. Not one.
Right.
Right. In 26 years of service, not one write. He has never been written up ever. Right. Now, Hayward is his Hayward is not immediate supervisor, but he reluctantly through the chain of command, he reports to Hayward. Right. Hayward was the one. Now, I want to make sure I explain to y'all why Willie was suspended. Somebody sent Willie a picture of Kaepernick, a cartoon of Kaepernick taking a knee in front of a black dead body with a finger pointing down at the dead body, right? Okay. Willie posted that on his page. Somebody else copied Willie in a boycott of a business, a local, not black, but white business. Okay? All right. Now, Willie's never been written up in 26 years. I want to remind you, you have police officers who have, they've called people nigger, they've called them coons, porch monkeys, you name it, they've done it, right? Not only were they not written up, nothing happened to them.
Right.
Okay? Let me continue. All right, so that's Willie. Willie did that. You have another officer who kicked in a door of his daughter's house and jumped on her husband. Well, he got his butt whooped by her husband. He laid them hands on her, right? He did that, and guess what he got? He got a letter of reprimand. You had another guy, and I can't remember what he did now, but he was given a verbal warning, right? Now, Willie had a picture on his Facebook page. Now, the reason all this is important is because Chief Finks handed down all these, all this, right?
Right.
Everything I'm giving you was handed down by Chief Finks. Willie, for that picture, Willie got a 10-day suspension with nothing in his jacket. Nothing. No write-ups, he got 10 days. The guy who got the letter of recommendation, it's rumored that he had some issues in the past. That could have been, that could have been the piece de resistance. But no, he got a letter of reprimand. You with me?
Right.
Now, who handed all this out?
Your boy Haywood.
Your boy Haywood. The same one now who said that the dude who shot the black folk should be exonerated was the one that gave Willie 10 days for the Kaepernick picture. That he ain't put no caption to. He just put a picture on his Facebook page.
Well, here's what bothers me about Finks and what he's doing.
Why does it bother you, Dave? We talked about how do you make police officer of the year? What you got to do to make police officer of the year?
Well, it still bothers me.
How?
Well, you make police officer of the year by sucking up to the white establishment.
No, you don't. You make police officer of the year by arresting a bunch of black people.
Well, same difference. You're sucking up to the white establishment. But here's what bothers me about Finks and what I don't understand about the chain of command. Clearly, Finks is subordinate. Okay?
I know no big words.
Okay.
Is subordinate another word for sellout?
You can look at it that way, yes. But I'm talking about as far as it relates to his superiors. Okay? He is making statements. He's doing things in public that I'm pretty sure.
He's doing what I expect him to do.
Well, I understand that. But at some point, the new chief of police and the mayor needs to slap him. And I mean figuratively, not literally.
No, why would you do that? Why would you slap him?
Well,
why would you slap that man for being who he is?
Well, let me because those types of people need to be put in their place.
No, they don't.
Well, I think so.
Know who they are.
Well, we know who
Steer clear of it.
All right, so we know who Finks is now.
Steer clear of
and clearly Finks.
And let me say this too, because I've heard somebody say this morning, and I just want to make sure I say this for the record. I don't care how mad I get at you, Dave. I ain't never gonna sell you out because of something you didn't do for me.
Right.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Don't matter, right? Now, if you telling me that he that petty,
he needs to go.
he
That's
needs
my
to get
point.
up out of here.
That's what I'm saying. It's clear that he's that petty.
You need to get up out of
He
here.
clearly in that hearing last week, he had an agenda.
Yeah, and not only that though, but this shows why you didn't get hired.
Exactly.
Because if this is your attitude, this would have been your attitude as a police chief.
Exactly.
And that's not the kind of behavior we need, right?
Right.
Because right now, I mean, again, I'm not surprised by what Fink did. I'm not surprised by it at all. I'm not surprised. I mean, other people said that they were surprised. I thought, well, I'm not.
Why would you be surprised?
Because a lot of people held him in high regard. And
Because they thought because he was black.
Well, no, because he does. Okay, so this is the thing you got to remember, right? So if you have a friend who's a police officer, and you need something done, then sometimes you will call the police officer you're most comfortable with. Well, for most black folks, if you know Hayward, that would be Hayward, right? I've never felt comfortable calling Hayward about anything, ever. I never got a good feel from Hayward. Well, I take that back. Before 2012, I had a good feel for Hayward. But like I said, after 2012, I never had a good feel for him after that.
But wasn't he one of the people, and correct me if I'm wrong, one of the black officers who refused to join the Black Police Officers Association?
No, remember, he was the one who left after they
Filed a lawsuit.
After they filed a lawsuit.
Right.
He was the one that left after they filed a lawsuit. That's why he left.
Well, again, it's still the same concept.
Same thing, yeah.
Right, it's still the same concept.
But again, I mean, when we make this point about Hayward, though, it's important that we know you got 130 black officers that work for Little Rock, right? And black people are being abused in the black community, right? I want to say this again. You got 130 black officers that work for LRPD. 130 of 500 and some officers. You got 130. What is it? 534. You got 130 that are black. Now, with the exception of Willie Davis, Johnny Gilbert, it's another guy. I'm forgetting his name. I can't think of his name now. With the exception of 3 officers, name me one officer you heard that is speaking to the conditions that black police officers are having to endure, and what's happening in our streets. Speak to that. You with me?
Right.
This is bigger than just Hayward.
Right.
You feel me, right? I don't want people to just say we focusing solely on Hayward. Now, Hayward gonna get the most attention because of where he's sitting.
Right, and the other thing, because of Hayward's position,
Exactly.
he could be setting the bar for many of those other black officers who could speak out, but will not.
Well, and I gotta say it's kind of important. We had Rodney on the show last week, right? And having Rodney on the show, that itself spoke volumes for me, right? But what disappointed me about him being on the show was that he said something to us that I later found out not to be true. I haven't asked him yet, but on good authority, I was told that there was a meeting held between those guys to talk about that thing that happened at the board meeting with the lawyer. That was a meeting, that was a conversation around that wasn't just something that happened by accident, right? So I haven't had a chance to ask him yet because I want to wait a little while. I want to wait a little bit, and I want to ask him about it because you can't play both sides. You're either one or the other. You can't be both, right? And so what's problematic for me is that anytime we have a conversation about the police, it's like black folk, we talking about the police, but ain't no black police saying nothing other than Willie. And they done pretty much, and it's not even so much that they muted Willie's mic. It's just that Willie been talking so long, it's kind of like me talking. Everybody going, oh, that's Robert and Willie. What's next, right? That, you can't keep that up. Somebody else from within the department has to come out and start to talk about those issues. And right now, that voice is not there. And let me tell you something. With all the stuff that's happening in the black offices, in the Little Rock Police Department, why ain't more of them saying nothing?
That's an excellent question. So, And let me just read a little bit from this Baton Rouge. He said he apologized to Alton Sterling's family and the Baton Rouge community for any distrust and pain the shooting may have caused. That behavior is unacceptable. Baton Rouge, we are sorry. The department and Blaine Salamone, who was the guy who did the shooting, who was fired for his role in the 2016 shooting of Alton Sterling, came to an agreement recently that allows them to finally sever ties. Salamone was appealing his firing, but they finally said that it will not. The appeal will not go through. And I think that if we are going to change this, and that's why I'm bringing it up. What do you you came in here with your hands over? That's Miss Ivy's barbecue. You can't have none of that.
It's barbecue and you didn't call me?
Then that's Miss Ivy's. Remember we told you she had never had Sims.
Really?
You didn't know?
Look at how he rubbing his stomach. Man. Look at him rubbing his stomach, man. I'm like, why y'all talking to me, man? Y'all got Sam sitting over here?
Sam.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, she don't think we love our interns, so we just had to show her.
Yeah.
And we were, she told us she had never eaten Sims. And then I heard sirens going off, and it was the black squad coming to take her black off. So I talked them down. I said, look, she's young.
Yeah.
She hadn't had a chance. We going to hook her up. So they said, we have a week to make sure she gets some sense.
Father and or both get a violation of something. She had not been to see him, and she old as she is. This is just...
That's what I'm saying. So we decided to have, we were going to do it the Thursday before she left.
Okay.
And we didn't get a chance to, so today. And we invited Clayton too, but he didn't show.
Yeah, he's somewhere asleep.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we've got Sims today. So you can have a piece of white bread and sop it in some of the.
Left for a restaurant. I want to mention because they don't advertise.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Mention?
No,
There you go.
Why we mention the Sims? The Sims advertising?
they don't advertise either.
No, but
But they look like us.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, I got you. That's a difference.
And we needed to say that to bring the story home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To make it make sense. So.
I got you. Maybe we get Sims. Maybe we get Sims to do that. Dang!
Did that answer your question?
He said get Sims
Yeah.
advertised.
You don't think what they do?
Have you ever heard a Sims commercial anyway? I rest my case.
Oh, that is.
You know you have.
That's
You
true.
know you have. Okay. Oh, he's back.
I'm sorry.
Why you? What?
I'm just saying. Let me explain.
Yeah, please.
When people have been in business a long time,
They typically
they
don't.
typically think they don't have to advertise because they got enough.
You got enough business.
They got enough business, and they feel like the word is out.
And they're staple.
Yeah.
But you know who don't know about? Well, with the exception of Ivy, who don't know about Sims?
She like, y'all own me today. I just came up here to eat.
Yeah, with the exception of little sense. Who don't know about Sims?
Yeah, well, right, but but they still need to.
They still need to get the
Who
word.
don't know about McDonald's? But
They still advertise. Exactly.
That is true.
So
Exactly.
that's advertising 101. They always use McDonald's as an example. You always
Never
hear
thought about
McDonald's
that,
commercials, but everybody knows what McDonald's is.
And when I tell people about websites, they say, well, I don't need a website. I have Facebook. And I say basically the same thing. Do all these Fortune 500 companies have websites? Why do you think they have them?
Yeah, I never see McDonald's. We should call McDonald's and get them advertised. Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I have to reach out.
Do you know somebody who has a franchise?
Yeah.
Oh, you've been holding out on the black folks.
Hey man, you know what I'm saying, man. Sometimes man, you can't let everybody know. When you're
Get them to sponsor. Hey, you need to get them to sponsor that Little Rock Central broadcast. Hey, there you go.
Now that's gonna be big.
Well, I'm already in, man. So y'all got to let me know how much I need to cut that check to you.
See, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, I'm gonna always support the black and gold. Man,
That's what I like to hear.
Really, you alumni too?
yeah.
Alumnus?
Yeah, baby.
Wait,
Hell
man.
to the old gold, man.
Why you think he and I jihad?
You said that just exactly right.
Hold on.
But
Hold on.
it's H-E-L-L.
Hell to the old gold.
Hey, we sorry. That why you think? Why you think she's sitting in there so depressed?
Oh, I see now why.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, never mind.
But it's H-E-L-L.
No.
Oh,
See, are you hating?
Oh, he hating
Are
hard.
you hating?
I'm just
He
saying.
hating hard.
Are you hating?
No.
He hating hard.
Because you know what? There are a whole lot. Look, as a matter of fact, the
Yeah.
choir director from Little Rock Central is listening to the
Wow.
broadcast.
Hello.
All I got to do is send
Shout out to Mr.
out the
Brad.
Tiger signal,
That's
Yeah.
it.
and boy, they'll be out there.
Bat sign go up,
Man.
the tiger sign go up.
I
it's over.
apologize. They let me MC the 50th observance of the Little Rock Nine.
Yeah, you better be nice then.
Yeah,
They
so
won't let you come back.
yeah. Be another 50 years.
Well, you know, all you got to do is freeze your head, and they'll put new body on it. You know,
I-
better
technology.
They better
You
come
know,
back.
wow, I'm putting this on the World Wide Web.
Too late
I
now.
dated a tiger back when
oh,
I first got moved to Little Rock.
It explains everything. Explains
it
everything.
does. It
Explains
does.
everything.
Hey, what
I
is?
never left.
And he had to walk out because he started having flashbacks.
That's what I'm saying.
And, and the
What
brother
is it?
broke out in a sweat.
Once you go Tiger, you never go.
You never go back.
You never go back.
You know, go back. Hell to the old goal in more ways than one.
I know that's right. 855-525-5683 is the number. We're having fun here today, of course. Again, I want to thank Martella Johnson for coming on today as well, and we're certainly looking forward to Kokai Nosa Kitty to come to Little Rock as well. We'll get them on once they get to Little Rock as well. But you know, we were talking about also a judge in New York has said that Daniel Pantaleo should be fired as well. So again, maybe the worm is turning here because, you know, it's almost like every day, look, someone else just posted Tigers for life. It's just like that, you know. Don't hate. Look at
Never
him.
stop.
I know you envious. Look at him. I just don't understand them central folks.
Ivy ain't ready.
You know.
We finna get that converted though.
Yeah, we'll make her an honorary Tiger. How about that? You know, so, but another judge has said Daniel Pantaleo should be fired as well, and he's the judge. He's a judge in New York City, and Pantaleo is the guy who choked out Eric Garner. So there are a lot of people who are changing their attitudes, and that's more or less what we've got to start doing. We've got to demand that these people be fired. In Nashville, a white cop has been fired for manhandling a sister at a gas station, and it's going on and on and on. The other thing that I would like to see happen is that we've got to start going back and looking at these people's social media accounts. We've got to go back, even though you may have done a background check on police initially, we have to go back and do more background checks because people change, people evolve, people will hide behind social media. And now that we're finding out that more and more of these so-called cops are posting racist images, racist sayings on their social media accounts, they need to be called out. So it's important that we do that on a regular basis. So let's make sure that we, if nothing else, here's another story that I ran across. This happened in Dallas. So there was a lady who was apparently unconscious on the ground in Dallas, and there was a dog beside her. This dog may have been her own dog. The police was driving down the street and they saw her laying on the ground unconscious and decided to get out and try to find out what was going on. When he started screaming at the lady, the dog ran at him. The police attempted to shoot the dog. He missed the dog, and shot and killed the woman. Now, people are trying to say it was an accident. This cop does not belong on the police force. This was an Arlington police officer. Number one, you shouldn't have been trying to shoot that dog. If nothing else, why didn't you pull out your taser and tase the dog if you were that afraid of him? But you ended up, because of your stupidity, you ended up killing a woman who was already in distress because you were trying to shoot the dog. Now, that means that the dog and the woman were in the same line of fire. So even if you missed as you did, you would have ended up shooting the lady, which you did. That is pure stupidity. This cop does not deserve to be on the force because you were trying to shoot her dog Here she is, passed out on the grass. Her dog apparently is there protecting her. And when the dog runs at you, you try to shoot and kill the dog. You miss the dog and you shoot the lady and kill her. Now, there will be people saying, he doesn't need to lose his job. Oh, you do, bro.
Why? Why would they say that? Why would they say he shouldn't lose his job? The guy who shot the woman who walked up on the patrol car in Minnesota, he is in prison, right?
But he's black.
But he's in prison, right?
Yeah, but he's black.
But he's in prison. So you said, I don't understand.
You know, well, black cops, when they do stupid stuff, they go to
I
jail.
don't understand.
That's normal.
Was that stupid, though? Him
You know,
shooting her was stupid?
Or when they do stuff that is out of protocol, although he was in fear for his life like all the
He's in
others.
fear for his life like everybody else.
Right.
So, I don't know. I get that.
Yeah, but apparently he was in fear of his life for this dog. And they didn't say in the story the type of dog. And I sure hope it doesn't come back that the dog was a Chihuahua.
Hey, if Johnny Gilbert listening, let me tell Johnny, we need you to come into the show once a week, man. Since you done retired, you ain't got nothing but time. You can come in here and talk to us once a week.
That would be great.
Come on,
We'd
Jay.
love to
Come
have
on, Jay Gilbert.
We'd love to have
You can come in here once a week and talk to us, man. You ain't got nothing else going on now. I saw him in scenes. He was officially retired, man. He's looking good.
Is he looking good
He's
after
looking
the
good,
accident?
man. Yeah, he's looking good.
That's good. That's good. But yeah, we'd love to have you. But the fascinating thing about this is that there was a woman that was in need of help. She was already laying out on the ground. And because you wanted to shoot that dog. And I don't understand this policy of police where they automatically got to shoot a dog. I just don't get this.
You mean automatically got to shoot a dog?
Yeah, they're when they show up at a house, the first thing they want to do is shoot the dog. I don't understand that. I mean, why don't you use the taser? That would work on a dog too, you know. But I guess that makes like too much sense. Anyway, hey, by the way, why not get? And Jackie makes a good point. Why not call Animal Protection Services? Why not? But again, you know, I believe that many police are not blessed with that common sense. I'm just being honest with you. I didn't say all, just many, because I know y'all probably say, he don't like the police. No, it's not that. Here's another article. Birmingham police officer staged shooting, fake distress call. You get that right? He staged the shooting and faked the distress call. This is a police officer.
Man, we act like, you know what? It's gotten to the point now that we're not even surprised when stuff like this happens. You know what I mean?
And you're exactly right, because I bring those things up and I talk about those things just to show you that these people are fallible. And for us, for the American public, mainly the white public, you hadn't seen this. I'll tag you on this story. This was a white guy. Did you see the white guy that they were laughing that he was dying? You hadn't seen that? I'll tag you on that one, where they had arrested this white guy and they had their foot on the back of his neck. And he was telling them that he couldn't breathe. And man, they were just laughing at this dude. And had him face down, left him there handcuffed. The ambulance showed up. And they kept laughing and making fun. And they looked at him and the ambulance attendant said, "Oh, you know he's not breathing." Now, he had been laying there for quite some time before the ambulance even showed up. By the time they got him on the gurney and got him into the ambulance, dude was dead. This just recently happened. So, again, it goes back to that study that we talked about yesterday, Robert, whereas that bad apples are rotting the barrel. New study shows police more likely to use excessive force if they watch other bad cops get away with it. Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, we've already said that.
Right, so I don't want to hear anything about they need training. There have been enough of these incidences that have went on over the years where training is not the issue anymore. This is willful neglect by police departments across this country. And then they turn around and try to get accountability, or at least try to get exonerated for things that they've clearly violated civil rights and the law. This doesn't make any sense anymore, and we have to stop this madness. You know, because I want police to follow the law, I'm not anti-police. I just want you to follow the law. I want you to respect civil rights of every citizen, not just white citizens. So it just goes on and on and on, and until we decide that we're going to do something about it, it's going to continue, unfortunately. And we've got to start doing something about this craziness. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. 855-525-5683 is the number. Also a story I posted on my wall. Oklahoma man gets his lights knocked out twice by a black father that he racially harassed and attacked. Now, I've told you all over and over again, you white supremacists out there that listen to the show, I know you listen. We are not our grandparents. Okay? So the racism that our grandparents endured, the racism that our grandparents had to deal with, we're not going to deal with that, folks. We're not going to put up with you calling us the N-word, any of those racial things, because you're going to get some hands laid on you. All right? And what we need to start doing is that when that happens, we need to make sure that we can bail our people out. But this guy, his mugshot is, he has a left blackened eye from the punch that apparently this black father threw at him. And apparently he didn't get it. So he got some hands. And those are the things that we need to continue to do when it comes to this racism that goes on. Because, as I said over and over again, we're not our grandparents. And the more people start responding in kind like that brother did, I mean, knocked him out, gave him a black eye.
But now, what did he say? Because I missed that part.
Let me pull up the story and I'll tell you, because it was so. A day of family fun at the pool took a dramatic turn Saturday when a raging white man unleashed a racist attack against an African American father, and then he got his butt whooped. Joshua Valentine of Oklahoma City was arrested July 20th after witnesses say he verbally then physically attacked a black man visiting an apartment complex swimming pool with his son. Valentine, 28, who was heard shouting "white power," allegedly threw a punch at the black father. The victim turned the tables on Valentine, however, by closed fist punching him 3 times and knocking him out cold. When Valentine finally came to, he left the pool, but returned moments later with a baseball bat. Police and witnesses said he swung the weapon at the man, who fended Valentine off with a chair and then struck him several times again, knocking him out again. Okay? Police obviously arrested Valentine on charges of malicious harassment based on race. He spent 6 days in the Oklahoma County Jail before being released on bond. And the point of that story is that, notice this black father then started singing "We Shall Overcome." This black father then started saying, "Hey brother, can we pray together?" This black father said, "No, you ain't going there with me and my son." Pop! And he was out. And my argument is, that's what we need to start doing. Okay? Because the more those stories start coming out,
That's a little Johnny story. The moral of that story is, don't mess with the black man and his
and his boy. You see what I'm saying?
Don't mess with that black man seed.
See, because that's what I've been telling folks. You come after my boy, I'm coming after you. You see what I'm saying?
One of mine.
You know,
Like they said in The Godfather. You take one of mine and take 2 of yours.
exactly. And until they understand that, see, that's why racism continues. It's because many of them have been watching those old videotapes, and their grandfathers have been telling them, "Yeah, back in the day when we were there, they did this, we did that." You're gonna be misled.
I really want to think I'm bigger than
I don't want to think that I am.
doing something violent. If
I'm
something
not.
happens to one of my kids,
Nope.
or is it someone in my family?
Nope.
I really want to think that I am
Nope.
bigger than that.
Nope.
But man, I must tell you that I would really have to sit down somewhere, take some breaths, because It is no way. I'd have to actually be put in a room where I would have no access to the outside world. Right?
A padded room.
A padded room. Because when you read the comments, I mean, great example. I think we talked about this earlier this week about the feeling of anger and anxiety that comes over you when you feel a police car come up behind you, right? So if something like that happened to me, honestly, I'm just being as honest as I possibly can, right? I would really have to go somewhere and disappear. I really would. You with me?
For how long?
I don't know, man. Because I'm going to tell you something funny, man. The night the brother shot the police in Dallas, and I found out it was a brother, man, I had to sit there for a minute and just kind of really work with myself, right? And the reason I say that is because that brother, I felt his anger. I understood that anger. I understood that frustration, right? And so as I'm sitting there watching that, I'm thinking to myself, is that like a call to arms? Brothers, you brothers are like, y'all calling us brothers to arms? Y'all telling us to line up and let's get this thing done, right? And so what's scary about that is that if I felt that way that night, I can only imagine what I'd feel if you did something to, someone in my family, right?
I agree.
Now, don't get me wrong. I sympathize and empathize when it happens to others.
Right.
But let's just be real. It's more significant when, or I guess you better understand it when it hits close to home. Right. And so if that happened to one of my boys, or my mother, or my sister, or my nephew, or my cousins, or whoever, right? My nieces, whoever, man. Yeah, I don't think Little Rock would be a good spot for a long time.
Yeah, I've got lots of buckets of red paint.
Yeah, I mean, ain't gonna be no need for no paint.
You remember what Clint did back?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I got lots of buckets of, was it High Plains Drifter? I believe that was it. Where he painted the town red.
Yeah.
That's me.
Man,
That's me.
It's certain things that happen that just really, put you on some kind of trajectory, right? And so, we're having all these conversations in the city right now. And I think all these conversations are good. I'm not saying I'm not good. But the thing that's troubling to me is that, you always got to shine the mirror back on us. Because we got to look at us as a collective.
Right.
And there has to be repercussions, man, for black folk who step outside of that thing. And in saying that, I mean, there should be repercussions for Haley.
I agree.
There should be repercussions for Rodney. There should be repercussions for Frank if he steps outside of that boundary. There should be repercussions that come from the black community. I should say because sanctions. There should be sanctions.
Whatever you want to call it, there should be a response.
Because now, in the black community, man, you can do whatever you want to us. And, if you go somewhere high for a little while, we'll forgive you.
Exactly.
Right?
We'll pray with you.
Yeah, we'll pray with you. God said forgive you. Yeah, God did tell us to forgive you, brother. We ain't finna forgive, right?
Yesterday, before we get out, I want to talk a little bit about this. We got about 3 minutes to go. Let me just read a couple of quotes to you. Last night, I tell you, to watch that thing on television as I did, that was Ronald Reagan. He was talking to Richard Nixon. Nixon said, yeah. Then Reagan says, to see those monkeys from those African countries, damn them, said Ronald Reagan. They feel uncomfortable wearing shoes. Nixon chuckled before he replied, Ronald, the tail wags the dog there, doesn't it? The tail wags the dog.
What were they talking about? Give me some context behind this one.
They were talking about a Tanzanian delegation who started dancing in the General Assembly at the United Nations when the United Nations took a vote to seat the delegations from Beijing instead of Taiwan in 1971. according to the New York University history professor. So they were talking about Tanzanians, who are, those of you who don't know your geography, that's in Africa. And that's what they were talking about. So they were calling those Tanzanians monkeys. The future president was talking to the current president. In fact, they were just being outright racist.
I'm not surprised.
And it shouldn't be.
I'm not surprised.
But see, that's my.
But you know what, Dave? Let me tell you something. There's some private conversations that I probably didn't have with you, and that I probably had. With
I ain't had no private conversations with you.
I had with two other brothers.
No.
That if they heard some of them conversations,
no, don't put my name in it.
It would be totally out of context.
Don't put my name in it.
I mean, but, man,
No.
the only thing is, you know what? We give passes to people like Ronald Reagan, but we don't to anybody else.
Right. And because many folks, black folks alone, was talking about how great Ronald Reagan was for black folks.
Right.
When he's never been great for black folks.
I agree.
855-525-5683 is the number. Well, don't call me now. We've got to get out of here. Again, we want to thank Miss Ivy for coming in and getting indoctrinated with Sim's barbecue. We're always trying to enlighten our people. And again, stay tuned for more as it relates to this Little Rock Central High School football broadcast. We will be giving you more details as they become available. But we are really, really excited about this thing here. So we should be getting some more information in the coming days. So y'all have a great weekend. Don't forget to join me tomorrow on the Weekly Sports Magazine at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. We'll certainly be talking about sports and all the things. NFL started last night. I don't really care about preseason, but we'll work in college football, some of the other things that are going on as it relates to sports. So y'all have a great day, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Say goodbye, Miss Ivy.
Bye.
Roberto.
Spend money on your own community. If you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Y'all have a great day. Bye. Hey y'all, thanks for joining. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna call you so you can measure us up and make us too short.